Hello, everybody. It's the final week for environmental concerns class. I'm Michael LeClaire, and today this is gonna be actually a pretty short presentation, all things considered, because I'm not gonna spend a ton of time going over every single lecture in detail because you have all the material already available for you. You just have to pop onto Blackboard and download the specific PowerPoints that you want to look at, or watch the videos that I pre-recorded for those weeks involved. So this is just going to be a quick down and dirty summary about what to expect for the final exam. Before we get started on that, I just want to bring up that the Before the Flood video assignment I have made available until the Monday when the final exam will be performed. So if you haven't completed it, I know most of you have, but if you didn't complete it for whatever reason, please take advantage of this opportunity to get yourself a couple extra marks and boost your grade a little bit more. It's always good to do that. Okay, so environmental concerns, the final exam. So what to expect? You're going to have 2 hours to complete it. It's going to be 50 questions. Those 50 questions are a combination of multiple choice as well as true or false. So there's not going to be any short answer or anything like that you need to worry about. The exam itself is cumulative. It's going to be basically from everything from the first week all the way to the last. All of that's fair game. So you might even see some of the questions that were in the midterm might be reused, I guess we could say, in the final exam as well. So I think it's in the week 9 PowerPoint presentation or the video, but I go over all of the midterm questions and answers. So that is also a very good resource for you to look at in terms of studying for the final. There's also the worksheets that were produced every single week for all of the every single week for every single subject that we went through in the course. Those worksheets are also quite helpful to you in terms of the important stuff to extract from all of the individual presentations that I performed, or I performed for you, I guess, presented to you. And finally, I actually didn't put this in here, but I'll type this in actually. Actually, I can just do that right now. I'll just do that for you, right? Live as we were. Monday, April, what day is April? April 18th. Monday, April 18th, all day. So, as I said, the presentation itself is a presentation. The final, oh, that's probably right back to the beginning. So, where was I? The final itself is going to be available on Monday, April 18th. You can complete it at any point during that day from midnight until basically midnight. Try not to limit it to midnight of April 18th because as soon as the clock ticks over to Tuesday, the exam will not be available anymore. So as I said, you have 2 hours to complete it. You must complete it in one sitting. You can't start it and then come back to it later in the day. So make sure you have a 2 hour block set aside, whether it's in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, whatever works for you. Make sure you have the 2 hours set aside so that you can really complete this final. If for whatever reason Monday doesn't work for you, please reach out to me sooner rather than later. I'll do everything I can to accommodate you, but if you're messaging me, Monday at like 11 p.m. saying you don't have enough time to complete it, that's not going to go over as well as if you were to message me, Friday afternoon or Saturday saying, hey, I need an extra day or whatever or a couple extra hours or something. I can accommodate that. Just give me the heads up. Okay. So with all that being said, if you have any other questions about what the exam actually entails, just reach out to me through email as always. I try to get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can. Yeah. So let's just go through quickly some of the important topics that were kind of brought up in every single week. So if we go harken back all the way to week 2, one of the important things, or some of the important things we did, was the different biomes that make up our Earth. So that's the stuff like the tundra, the rainforest, deserts, that type of stuff. Remember, just go over that stuff and remember that stuff. The different interactions between species, we're talking about mutualism, parasitism, that kind of stuff. And then when we're talking about human population through history, I'm mainly referring to looking at the human population trends through history. So stuff like the bubonic plague, the life expectancy between men and women, and how that kind of went up and down throughout our history. And then in the Industrial Revolution, obviously, and the advancements it brought forward, as well as the dangers it posed towards the environment. Because it's an online exam, I fully am aware and expecting everybody to have all of the presentations available to them. So don't be afraid to open those up and use those to your advantage. In real life, you're not going to be necessarily tested on something where you don't know, like you have to know, have the information memorized. In any real world situation, you can just, if your boss tells you to go, figure out how to do something, use the resources available to you. So you have all these presentations, you have all these video presentations, you have all these worksheets. Use those to your advantage when you're writing through this final. Week 3, we talked about the different layers of the atmosphere. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Ozone, how it's created, where does it form in the environment, what does it do? And then the Montreal Protocol, so what is it? And what is it accomplished? What has it accomplished? That's what I made. Basically, those are the major sticking points from that week. For week 4, we got the environmental performance indicators. You don't have to know all 32 indicators in 11 categories. I'm not going to sit there and have a multiple choice question where it's asking you, or even like a true or false thing, like, are these specific, words, for instance, different indicators? I'm not going to do something like that. Just understand what the indicators are broadly used for. What are environmental performance indicators? What's the whole purpose of the whole thing in the first place? What is it used for? And then ecological footprint. So the country's statuses. So in other words, how are they performing in terms of ecological footprints compared to each other? So that's when we're looking at stuff like Canada, United Arab Emirates, United States, Germany, all of those. How are they ecologically doing? And then, of course, the different productive surface areas. Week 5 was the carbon cycle. It's a pretty short slide, not a lot of information. Look at all this free space I got over here. But it's a big topic, the carbon cycle, so don't just downplay it just because it's a small slide. What is the importance of the carbon cycle? Understand the concept of the nitrogen cycle as well, because we do briefly discuss it in the PowerPoint slides, but it's not necessary, and this goes for the carbon cycle as well, it's not necessary to know these cycles in detail. I'm not expecting you for the nitrogen cycle to understand that urea turns into ammonia, which turns into ammonium, which turns into nitrites or nitrates or any of that. You don't need to know that kind of, or that level of detail. If you do, though, fantastic. But this isn't a chemistry course, so I'm not expecting that. Week 6 is Jevons paradox. So what is that and why is it important? And then the Great Depression and World War II. What happened during these periods in regards to the impacts on human society? Of course, all of this, as I said, is in the PowerPoint presentations. So I'm not going to, spend a ton of time going over that. You can find the information pretty easily in the PowerPoint presentation. Another small slide, but environmental sustainability. So some key ways to be sustainable, or know those. So crop rotation, green spaces, water recycling, that type of stuff. This looks like a mouthful, but just understand the different types of ways we harvest energy. So we have, of course, our non-renewables like our oil, our coal, natural gas, and nuclear, but also understand the renewable ones, solar, wind, wave, tidal, etc., and how they are used to generate electricity and energy for us. Week 11 is global warming, the impact on the oceans, the impact on glaciers, greenhouse gases in general. The last 3 weeks, we really did hunker down on climate change, so all these are kind of intermixed as far as the topics are concerned. So week 12 was our terrestrial environments one. So of course, these are the main sticking points that we had along that row there. You got desertification, soil erosion, air quality and urbanization, deforestation, invasive species, acid rain, extreme weather events, and then crop yields. Just make sure you understand what all of those mean, first off, and how they are important in terms of what their impacts are on us, on the environment, and how they might be impacting or be an impact by climate change. And then finally, we got week 13 with the aquatic environments. So we got freshwater salination, coral reefs, algal blooms, rising sea levels, invasive species, lake turnover, and then finally our extreme weather events. So again, very similarly to the other week 12 information, just understand what they are in the first place, kind of like a definition of what the word actually refers to as regards to environmental climate change and global warming, but also understand how it impacts or is impacted by climate change. For instance, with freshwater salination, if I were to just briefly say that one, it's the act of freshwater getting salt input into it, right? That's like the definition course of it. But then how is it impacting, or how is it impacted by global warming or climate change? Well, it's salting up our lakes, which is killing off a bunch of our fish, which is killing our ecosystems, in a brief nutshell. And that's it. That's the entire presentation. Solid 10 minutes, right? I just want to say that good luck to everybody on the final exam on Monday. It's been an absolute pleasure teaching you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this course. It's been a pleasure, and I really enjoyed every moment of this. So if you have any comments, any critiques, please keep it constructive though. Please feel free to reach out to me as well, just to let me know about that stuff too. I'm always looking for ways to improve the course for you guys. So I know this is coming at the end of the year, but maybe for next time too. If you happen to see me in another course, who knows? But that being said, if you have any questions about the exam coming up, you know how to reach me. So with that being said, this is probably the last you're going to be hearing my voice, at least for the last little bit. So good luck, and I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you.